Good day, fellow Jersey Nerds, and welcome to episode 80 of the Jersey Nerds podcast. I'm your host, Ryan, and today on the Nerdcast, we have a jam-packed episode. This week was absolutely crazy with Jersey news. We have the Erie Otters, the Buffalo Sabres, the Halifax Mooseheads, and the NHL Conference Champions. Plus, we're going to get to fake or authentic, and joining us to dig through this pile of mess are Sean and Beepo. Sean, what's going on?
Well, I just got back from my first and hopefully not last Memorial Cup game between the Rouyn-Noranda Huskies and the Prince Albert Raiders.
Who took that game?
It ended up being 6-3 with a couple empty netters for the Rouyn-Noranda Huskies.
Not too bad. Overall, I've heard good things about Halifax hosting that tournament. Has it been well attended?
I would say yes. I've seen a lot of out-of-town fans. We had several people from Prince Albert and then a small section, like a corner of Huskies fans.
Right.
And you know, these aren't big places, so, you know, they are clearly from there.
Like a party atmosphere around the rink, lots of things set up, or pretty quiet?
Oh, certainly, yes.
Yeah.
They got like a fan zone type thing going on, and, you know, fairly well attended so far. And, you know, I think the part of that has to do with the fact that the Mooseheads are doing well in the tournament. They're 2-0.
Yeah.
But that being said, you know, overall really impressed with it. I think it's something that if you are Canadian and you does happen to stop in your city, you should go, because, you know, you'll see teams that you know, may never see otherwise.
Yeah, and we are going to dig into the Halifax Mooseheads at the Memorial Cup this year later on in the podcast, but also joining us is Beepo. Beepo, what's going on?
Just recording a podcast, Ryan. How about you?
Beautiful. Just listening to you record a podcast, Beepo. It's a treat each and every time you join us.
I'll be honest, I almost forgot about my signature intro.
Good thing I led you in there, because there's been weeks where I've forgotten to lead you in with the
That
question.
also has happened. Today I'm recording a podcast in my bunch of Carolina Whale-a-Canes jersey.
But it is whale, like, I guess because it's Adidas, right? We got to consider it a Carolina Hurricanes jersey.
Now, I'm considering it a Hurricanes jersey. I may only be considering it a Hurricanes jersey to say that I have a Hurricanes jersey, because now I'm only 3 teams away from completing my collection of the entire league. But, you know, that might be the only reason I'm calling it a Hurricanes jersey, but it technically is.
Fair enough. Bend reality.
It is and it isn't.
Yeah. Yeah, good point there. I mean, that's an interesting debate. We'll jot that down for the summer. Sean, I know you got a new acquisition on for tonight's episode. And, of course, if you subscribe to the special podcast viewing party at $59.99 a second, you would see what we're all wearing tonight. But, Sean, what do you have on for this fine podcast?
Well, Ryan, I am wearing a newly acquired Lady Liberty alternate with who I consider to be the true great one, Jaromir Jagr, on the back. I'd say this is definitely pre or post lockout, because it is a dark jersey that is CCM. Prior to the lockout, it would have been Coho, or perhaps, if it was old enough, pro player or starter. Fully stitched and everything. The gentleman I bought it off of said that he won it at an auction raffle type thing, and he never wore it.
Perfect.
So I am very happy with this. This is my first and only Rangers jersey.
Holding up pretty well after all these years of that guy apparently not wearing it.
Yeah, it really is. It's fully stitched. Everything is in good shape. No pulls, no nothing. Overall, it's ready for me to hopefully not do any of that to it.
Perfect. Fantastic. So let's get into just a couple things that we did this past week. Sean, I know you said you went to the Mooseheads. I don't know if anything else came up this week, but for me, nothing overly special came up, but I feel as I'm getting older, after all, I am 35 years old, but I do feel older sometimes. I've gotten to the point now where I'm disgruntled going through fast food drive-thrus. Like because I did that in my younger years, I used to be very kind of forgiving and accepting and just being like, oh, these guys got to deal with a lot of crap, so I'm going to be the super nice guy going through the drive-thru. But now it's gotten to the point where they can't follow my simple request of no pickles, no onions on a burger. I'm kind of getting angry. I went through the Golden Arches drive-thru the other day. I gave that request for my quarter pounder with cheese, no onions, no pickles. And I got extra onions, extra pickles. How does that happen? Especially when the little paper, the little tag on the box says no onions, no pickles. Now, younger me would have just wiped off that stuff and carried on. But old disgruntled me could not. And I turned around and I walked back into that McDonald's. And I got my quarter pounder cheese for free because I complained. I don't know where you guys are at as far as fast food drive-thrus, and if you frequent them, and if you are feel free to complain, or if you just go about your business, Sean.
Well, what's interesting about that is that it depends on where I go, and there's a certain level of laxness I'll have. So with McDonald's, they tend to be pretty good in my area. I don't go there nearly as much as I used to, but I'm still there about once a week or so. And when I go there, they tend to get everything right, except for one time that I ordered this, my usual thing. I always go for breakfast when I go to these places. I got a bacon and egg muffin combo, that sort of thing. I get the bag, drive out of the drive-thru, and at this point, I have to head back to work. I'm on lunch at work. And I open the bag, and there's no Egg McMuffin in there.
Ooh.
So my first thought was it fell under the seat. It didn't. There was no Egg McMuffin in that bag, and I couldn't drive back.
No,
you sure you didn't need it?
Positive I didn't need it. There's one place that I have absolutely no sympathy for when they get my order wrong is Tim Hortons.
Did you try turning the bag off and on again?
I tried throwing it at my car window and saying some nasty things.
Is your bag plugged in?
Bag. My bag was plugged in. I then crumpled it up and threw it again and told the bag how terrible it was in very colorful ways. And then the woman in the car next to me gave me a funny look, and I went back to work.
You know what makes me want to give somebody an Egg McMuffin? Getting thrown around and called bad words.
I don't think that's how Egg McMuffins work. But going back to Tim Hortons, I don't know about you, Ryan, but how they managed to mess up a double-double when all you do is put a cup under a thing that you press a button and it puts the cream and sugar in for you.
Literally, you press a double-double button.
Right. Like, explain that to me, how they messed that up.
I don't know.
Like,
they press the button that doesn't say double-double.
Tim's is notoriously bad at this. They are the worst drive-through. They have the worst drive-through layouts because almost every Tim's that you go to that isn't in a very long parking lot loops around the actual parking lot. So if you park, you can get trapped because of the drive-through.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
Those are the worst. And then on top of that, especially with the new Tim's reward system that they have, what'll happen is somebody will be halfway through paying and they'll remember that they have the thing, right?
Yeah, you buy 7, you get 1 free. Yeah.
It's like McDonald's, but instead where McDonald's, it's like a little stamp card. You can't mess that up. Tim's, it's like you have to remember you have that card in your wallet with all your other rewards cards. And if they don't ask for it, you probably won't remember. But if you do remember, sometimes you get people halfway through paying and they got to cancel the transaction, pull everything through. But the thing is that, a lot of people would they'd be like, oh, I'll get it next time. I saw somebody paying cash, get the receipt, hold up the drive-thru for 5 minutes while they were fighting this guy saying, like, you got to put it on. He's like, well, I can't because you already paid. The transaction's gone. I can't do that. That's not how that works. You could hear him from the order. Like with the order box, you could hear him from there.
You got to get the point, Sean. And these people that like forget their card or want to hold up everything just to get the 1 point for the muffin that they ordered are the same people in line who aren't paying attention. And when all the cars move up, they're too busy fumbling around or looking at something else, and they don't move up with the rest of the cars. That drives me nuts in the drive-thru.
or you get the ones that they're basically, they leave a car space between them and the car, not because they're not paying attention, but because, I wouldn't want the guy in front of me to dent my Camry.
What if the guy in front of you is the first person ever to randomly throw it in reverse and gun it in a drive-through? You don't want to get caught with that. That would be horrible.
Oh yeah, no, you gotta leave that space. You gotta drive-through's a death trap. Yeah?
They're horrible. Beepo, where do you stand as far as fast food? You got tolerance for these people, or you?
There's not too much food that I won't eat and that I don't like. So personally, I don't really, it wouldn't really bother me that much. It'd be like, something new to try. As long as it was like somewhere in the realm of my order. Like if they just forgot something on my burger, like that happened not too long ago. I think we got Applebee's and it was like a burger with like an egg and hash browns on it, and they messed up and thought I didn't want the hash browns or something like that. And I was like, okay, whatever, still a good burger. I'm not too worried about it.
Just go on.
I usually don't worry about that stuff, yeah.
Fair enough.
Maybe that's an older guy thing, like you said.
It might be. I used to be like that. I'm like, I'll just eat it. It's still fine, right? But it might be because there's a McDonald's and a Tim Hortons on my way home from work just before I hop on the highway and get in the traffic and do the commute and all that kind of stuff. But the people who work in both of these locations are just awful. They're just downright awful. Like a simple turkey melt sandwich, and I'm going to be waiting in the drive-thru for 15 minutes. So based on that, I just don't order the turkey melt sandwich. Pretty much at
Sorry, did you say quarter pounder?
Yeah, Beepo, we're going to have to let you go because you're not familiar with the products that you're making. Anyways, that is my old man rant on fast food. Sean's getting there. Beepo's still too young.
Did you say slow food?
If you're making slow food...
Sorry, ice cream machine broke.
That's every day. Why even have an ice cream machine?
Sorry, manager, machine broke.
All right, that's our fast food chat for today. We got a lot to get to, so let's get into it. All right, massive episode, and what we're going to lead off with this week is the Erie Otters updating their character logo, as they call it. Previously, they're using a word mark for the most part on their jerseys, but now they've updated their character logo, and they've added a new secondary kind of keystone, more lifelike otter-looking logo. That's going to appear on the shoulders of the navy and the white jersey. Speaking of the navy jersey, that's a new jersey that they've added to their repertoire, I guess you want to say. Now they're getting rid of the kind of the Reebok Edge jerseys with the side panels, and red is completely gone from their color scheme. So let's start with the jerseys. We got a navy jersey. It's got classic striping, and it's got gold cuffs or yellow cuffs, whatever you want to call it. And then we're going to go to the white jersey, which is just a reverse of it, and they're going to keep that gold alternate jersey with the script. So if you want to take a look at any of the things we're talking about, you can find links in the show notes, or you can head on over to hockeyjerseyconcepts.com, and you'll see our show notes with pictures there. The new primary logo they're calling it their character logo. They're bringing that back. It's been updated with the navy gold color scheme. Now, the cool thing here is the Otters helmet that he's wearing actually says Erie in it, which is pretty cool because they are the Erie Otters. The completely new logo here is the secondary logo. It's a keystone shape. We got a lifelike otter, says Erie at the top in kind of a neat kind of angled font. Looks pretty cool. Again, head on over to hockeyjerseyconcepts.com to check that out. Now, we are might be tight for time if we go through each and everything individually. So let's look at this whole package, jerseys, primary and secondary logo as a whole. And Sean, just the positives coming out of this.
So for the positives, I mean, when you get down to brass tacks, I think that the logos are a complete update here, and they're beautiful. I think that the Otters script is like probably one of the better script logos, honestly, ever. I think it's just not a good primary logo. When you get down to it, though, I think the shoulder patch is the real winner here. And as for the jerseys, I think aside from one thing with the blue jersey that I think everybody's thinking, solid. I like it. Keep it up.
All right, Beepo, positives of the whole package here.
I think I'll have to agree with Sean. The logos are a great update. I really like the secondary one. It's a little bit awkward, I think, the way that the otter is shaped. For some reason, I feel like he should be a little bit thinner. I'm not really sure what it is exactly, but I especially really like the E or the text at the top and what they did with the E on the left to kind of balance it out so that way there wouldn't be that awkward negative space there. And that the Erie in the helmet is really nice. I actually didn't know if they had that in the old logo, and I just never noticed, but they didn't. So that's a really nice improvement. And assuming that we're going to get to negatives, I'll get to a negative with that. But the jerseys look really nice. I'm glad that they kept the yellow alternate because that thing's just beautiful. And the white one especially looks really nice. I'll get to another problem with the blue one later that Sean may also have brought up already.
Yeah, as far as the primary logo, I mean, it's a character logo, but I'm okay with that being in the junior ranks or in the minor leagues. I'm okay with that. You gotta sell merchandise, you gotta sell tickets, you gotta try and do what you can to bring people in or make some money. So I'm okay with that. The using Erie to make the helmet in that logo is fantastic. Love that move, and also love the Otters script in there. The new secondary logo, just based on recent logos from the NHL, I'm talking specifically the Stadium Series, a little tired of the Keystone shape, but moving along, those thoughts will go away, and this will just become a nice Keystone logo. Really like the lifelike otter. He's angry. He's got great otter characteristics, so I really think the point gets across there. And Beepo made a tremendous point about the Erie script just above that. It really balances well and really looks unique and cool for the logo. So that's a really well put together logo. The Navy jersey, it's simple, it's classic. It's not going to win any amazing awards, but it really gets the job done. Plus, this color scheme is so excellent that it's doing a lot of the work there. So really enjoy that. I'm glad they kept the gold alternate with the script on the front. And then the white jersey matches the Navy jersey, so everything is really solid there. And I'm also glad that they went with Navy shoulder yokes on that jersey so that the new secondary logo would look excellent. But there are negatives with this, so let's get to that. Sean, this whole package, what are you not liking?
So there's an obvious disconnect between the alternate and the primary, or the character, I guess. And it's funny because it really is one of those things where it's like, they're both good, but I wish you'd pick one and run with it instead of trying to keep both around. And I honestly think I prefer the Keystone logo. It really nails what an otter actually looks like instead of a weird seal-looking thing. That the Erie Otters logo, to me, the one that I grew up with more, that red and yellow and blue one, it definitely looks better. Also, fun fact, in the new logo, he is wearing a shirt, and he is not in the old one. You can tell that by the fact that his shoulder in this is yellow, and on the original, it's brown and fully connected to his body. But, that aside, I think it's the yellow on gold, or the yellow on white on the Navy jersey that really gets me. And with that, it looks fine in low light. But if Erie has a particularly bright arena or plays in a particularly bright arena, you're going to have problems. And they will bleed. And, in this promo shot here with the three jerseys, it looks fine, better than most, but you can even start to see it on the left arm. So you got to fix that. That's basic stuff. That's one of the first things you learn in design school is you have to have a dark enough yellow or put some blue or gray between it to make it work. And they didn't do that here.
Well, we'll definitely see how it looks out on the ice. I like your point about how the jersey reacts in a bright arena. That'll be the big test. And not everyone in the OHL has the best TV or camera equipment, so it'll definitely be a test or a challenge for that Navy jersey to show up properly. Beepo, just your negatives on this one?
Well, I'll start off first with the big negative, and it is the one that Sean mentioned. It's the yellow on white. And while sometimes I think yellow on white does work, like on the Penguins jerseys, I think they do it fine. I think this one, the main problem is that it's white surrounded by yellow, not just white touching yellow in one place. And then, like, on the Penguins jerseys, if you look at the arm, you have like yellow, black, white, and then yellow. You have that white and yellow touching, but it's fine. You can tell them apart. Even on the hem of the white jersey, there's still yellow on its own, but it's fine. It doesn't blend in too much. And either way, it's a very it's not like it's a make or break detail. On this jersey, it's definitely a make or break detail if you can't tell the colors apart. And again, it's white surrounded by yellow, so that doesn't help matters. The rest of these negatives I have are fairly nitpicky. But for one, I think the gray on both logos is a little bit unnecessary. I don't mind it on the otter on the Keystone logo as shading, but I think everywhere else it's pretty unnecessary. I'm not a big fan of gray in a lot of uniforms. I think it's just muddy, and I think white usually works a lot better. Unless silver I like, but gray usually doesn't really work. I think the Sharks original jerseys did it fine. That's one of the few that I think do it well. And I can't remember if I mentioned if the jersey is primarily gray. I think that works too, but I just think the gray is very unnecessary here. And also on the helmet of the Erie helmet, I think the letters are a little bit too loosely packed. It almost doesn't read the helmet. And also the outline on top of it is very bumpy. If you just smoothed out that outline, and even if you just left the text exactly the same, that would help incredibly.
All right, I'm going to be positive about that navy jersey, and I'm going to plan on it working out well, and hopefully the gold and the white don't bleed into each other. So I'm going to try and be positive on that one. Just my little nitpicky thing is that the two logos, the character versus a realistic one, they don't seem to be working together. And I know they're going to be fine for other people, but for me, I want either the team to choose a character theme or go with a more realistic theme. And the mixing of the two on the same jerseys is just, it doesn't connect for me. So it looks like two separate ideas, and they're just like, okay, throw them on jerseys with our colors. So that doesn't work for me. The second thing is just a personal choice for that gold jersey with the script. I would have liked to see them use that Erie that's in the new secondary logo. I would have liked to see them use the exact same format on the script. So just update the script a little bit, maybe even make the letters a little bolder like they are in the primary logo, and then use that Erie script and put it over top there on the alternate gold jersey. But otherwise, this is I'm really, really happy with what Erie's going to be wearing for the next few seasons. Sean, how about you? Looking at the two logos, the three jerseys, let's rate this thing out of 10.
So I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10 right here. I think that it's certainly in the right direction. You know, the fact that they kept that Otters logo around and were able to turn it into something so much better than it originally was says a lot about how much effort went into this redesign and, you know, what they're trying to accomplish here. A lot of goods come out of it. And it makes them one of the better looking teams in the OHL right now. If you look at recent rebrands, the Guelph Storm, I think, are an example of a rebrand that kind of missed the mark as far as I'm concerned. And then if you look at Erie Otters, that's how you do it, I think.
Beepo, your thoughts on the jerseys and logos?
Yeah, I think I'll agree on Sean's rating of 8 out of 10. I think it was a very necessary and nice-looking modernization and cleanup of that of the primary logo. And aside from that yellow on white, the jerseys are really nice. Nothing, again, to necessarily give an award to, but very clean, simple, and nice.
And I'm going to follow you guys and give an 8 out of 10. Really like the logos here and the colors. And happy that they didn't try and reinvent anything with the jerseys. This is kind of a jersey that's going to let the logo do its work here and let the logo be the feature. So let's see how far these can go. So I'm giving them an 8 out of 10, just like you guys. Moving right along with the jersey news of the week. Oh, by the way, when I was putting together the rundown here for this podcast, what we were going to cover, it started with the simple idea of looking at the third round playoff series and deciding which home games looked best. And slowly, as all this news came out during the week, that topic kept getting bumped further and further down the layout until finally we're not even doing it this week because we have 4 huge pieces of news to talk about. And the next one is the Buffalo Sabres. And we got a look at their 50th anniversary logos. It looked like a few people received 50th anniversary patches and shared them online. And then Buffalo, I guess, came out there with their official release, which also showed a secondary 50th anniversary logo. So, again, if you want to take a look at those, there's links in the show notes, or you can head on over to hockeyjerseyconcepts.com. The 50th anniversary logo that's going to appear on the jerseys, we just don't know where yet, is a shield shape. And then there's a gold beveled 50, swords crossing in front of it, but then one of them goes behind the 5 and the other one goes through the middle of the 0, and they end up behind the 50. 1970 written on the left side and 2020 written on the right. And then we have a buffalo just all by itself at the bottom of the shield, and this logo is outlined in gray, which I'm sure Beepo's going to mention about that. The secondary logo is a little bit more simplified. Again, we have the beveled 50. This one's outlined in white. There's no shield shape here. Sitting at the bottom of the 50 is a saber. Over top of that is the Buffalo Sabres logo. 1970 is written on the bottom, and then we kind of have a upside down triangle or home plate, I guess you could say, half of a home plate at the bottom of this logo. Interesting to note, I found that the Sabres logo on the secondary mark is not outlined in silver in any way. So this is a, I guess you could say, classic Buffalo Sabre logo. It's just in navy instead of the royal blue. So, Sean, let's take a look at the positives of these two logos.
The Sabres are one of those teams that has never, I think, had a bad anniversary logo. They've been vague, but they've never been bad. And this continues it. Certainly, I think the simplified version is much better. It gets the point across. But that, with that being said, I think that the Shield logo, you get a very, and I do mean very vague, looking buffalo forward-facing head coming from this. If you look at it just the right way, with the swords being the horns, and, you kind of, your mind will work it from there. But, in terms of just making a keep it simple, stupid 50th anniversary logo, look at how Buffalo did it and do your own here, especially with that simplified one. And I think it's a big upgrade, despite how much I appreciate their 40th anniversary logo. Their 50th knocks it out of the park, and I'd say it is almost as good as their 25th.
Yeah, this 50th anniversary logo, when sportslogos.net posted all of their anniversary logos, that 40th anniversary logo from 2010 does not hold up well. I really enjoyed it.
It's vague.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it at the time, but now looking at it, it's like, yeesh, not so good. Beepo, the positives for this logo set, 50th anniversary for the Sabres.
I'll be honest, whenever Justin first sent this in our writer's chat, he was sending some work that he was working on. So I thought he did that, and I was like, my reaction was, holy hell, you made that? And no offense to him, but he's not exactly a professional. He's still kind of learning, just like I am. I'm not sure I could even design something that good, and it's just incredible. I really like it. I honestly like the secondary one a lot better. I think it would work. I think that one works better, the jersey patch. But aside from the shield being a possibly arbitrary shape, it's very well laid out. It's very clean. It's not too much else to say about it. It's just solid. The only nitpick I have actually looking at now, the 50 maybe could be slightly bigger. That's about all I got, I think, in terms of negatives. And the gray, but hey, at least that fits their brand.
Yeah, I'm going to have to totally agree with Beepo. I think it's a really great logo. Don't know why it has to be a shield on that primary logo, but it is what it is. A lot of logos are either roundels or shields, so I guess that's what we're going with. Love the beveled 50. It's really cool. Looks really solid. You're not stepping out of any boundaries. It's still Sabres gold, so that looks pretty cool. You guys mentioned it. The secondary logo is far superior to the primary logo. It's simple. It's effective. You know what's going on there. And also it's got the classic Sabres logo in navy, which always looks really, really good. So these logos are excellent. It's going to be hard to find some negatives, but Sean, you're up.
when I'm thinking of negatives, what I think of, it really comes down to, the gray outline is unnecessary, but at the same time, I don't mind how they're using gray right now on their blue jersey. I just think that the only nitpick I can really come up with is that I wish that the 50th anniversary logo was actually, the simplified version was actually going to be used on the jerseys. And it won't be, because I think that would make an excellent, simple shoulder patch, similar to the 50th anniversary the Blues had. Another great example of how to do one of those right is to keep it simple. And it looks so good on a jersey, it's probably worth getting,
Agreed. Absolutely. Beepo, your negatives here.
My negative, aside from the one that I already mentioned briefly, is that the secondary one is not the primary one. Honestly, I mean, that one would just... whenever I first saw that primary logo, I never expected to be like, wow, I'm disappointed by this. And I mean, I'm not disappointed by the logo itself, but man, they're really making it hard not to be disappointed in some way whenever they pick the inferior of the two logos as the primary. But honestly, if what they've chose is the inferior one, then that's honestly just saying something about the other one, because they're both some great logos. And also, a side note, I never realized that their 40th anniversary logo, I never realized that was their actual anniversary logo until it was in that graphic. I honestly just thought that was like a secondary logo thing that was on the jersey. I never realized that that was their official anniversary logo.
Well, I guess instead of having a patch that year, they had a jersey, a 40th anniversary jersey. That's what that Buffalo script jersey originally came out as, was their 40th anniversary. I think they used it for 2 or 3 years after that. So, but
I am aware of that. I just didn't realize that was their official logo for it.
Yeah, I don't know if it ever became official or if it just was accepted that that's the way it is. But as far as the 50th goes, I'm on board with you guys. I would love for the secondary to appear on the chest of the jerseys. That would look phenomenal. And it's, again, like I mentioned, I don't know why the primary is in a shield, but it's not hurting anything, so that's fine. I really can't find too many other faults with this, so I plan on rating this quite high. But before we do rate it, we wouldn't be Jersey Nerds without discussing where the appropriate spot to put this shield-shaped logo would be. Possibility, we've heard it's going to be on the jerseys, but is it also appropriate to see it on the helmet as well? And if they're going to throw a logo at center ice, replace the standard Buffalo Sabres logo, which one do you use at center ice? So let's talk about jersey placement first, Sean.
So, with regards to jersey placement, shoulder, easily, by far, because you still have the, what do you call them? They're 10 years out of date and look really stupid. Chest numbers.
Chest numbers, football numbers, whatever.
Whatever. And, again, I have a deep appreciation for that blue jersey. I think it's one of the best in the NHL, to be honest with you. But the one thing I would probably get rid of is the front numbers. And in doing so, you could very easily put the Shield logo or the non-Shield logo there. But for now, shoulders. For sure, you got to put it on the shoulders, because any other placement, I think you would mess it up. And center ice is the center ice inside, not like a roundel, but just like a colored circle.
Which one
around it would look fit.
Which one should they go with, the shield or the secondary?
Honestly, I would put the shield at center ice without the roundel, because it has the outline and everything, and I think it makes for a cool center ice logo.
That would definitely be very interesting. I agree totally with you on this one. Put it on the shoulders, unless the Sabres are going to get rid of those numbers on the front of their jersey, which we haven't heard anything that they will, so who knows there. But as far as center ice, I would like to see that secondary logo. That's probably just because I prefer it, but I think it would look really cool to I think it splits well down the middle, so that would be cool for me to see it center ice. Beepo, where should the Shield logo go on the jersey? And what logo goes on center ice?
Now, just for a second, let's imagine the Sabres jersey, but without those chest numbers, or the chest numbers for this exercise. In that situation, I'm not really sure if I'd prefer the shoulder or the chest. Maybe the shoulder, just because I think it might balance things out visually a little bit better. But currently, as it is, please put the thing on the chest, because that means you're going to remove those numbers. Just please. Or just put it on the shoulder and remove the numbers anyways, honestly. I mean, those numbers, I don't know why they still have them. I hope they pull a San Jose and put the patch there and remove the numbers and they never come back. It's very outdated, like Sean said. It's just, they don't need to be there, and I think it would look good on either the shoulder or the chest, but probably ideally the shoulder, I think.
And center ice logo, what's your ideal one there?
I would probably pick the alternate one. It could also be just in part, like you said, that I like it better. But I think it also the shape of it fits better into a circle. I think the other one's a little bit taller, I think it just fits better.
All right, so we have discussed these. Now it's time to rate them out of 10. We're going to include both logos. We're looking at both logos as a whole package here. We're looking at the shield and the secondary. I was going to rate them 8.5, but just talking about them have given them an extra point. So I'm going with a 9 out of 10. I think these are really great logos. They're strong enough that I would even be willing to purchase a patch on their own. So I'm going 9 out of 10 here. Sean, your rating for this set?
I will give these a 8.5 out of 10. I will give the simplified version the 9 and a 7 for the shield. And then that adds up to 8 and an extra half point because they complement each other well. I think that, despite the fact that very rarely do you have two distinct but similar logos work well together, here they really do. And I think that they can play off of each other really nicely. So good job, Buffalo.
And Beepo, out of 10, what are you thinking?
I'm going to double up on Ryan here and give these a 9 as well. I would probably give the shield one an 8.5 and the other one a 9. They're both just very solid logos, and like Sean said, while they do have some minor differences between each other, like the outline on the 50 on the one and not the other, I think they still complement each other very well.
I totally agree. This is going to be a really successful set. So the first half of this podcast, we talked about navy and gold teams. And again, it scored very high. It just may be the color scheme. It seems to be a very popular color scheme with all teams, almost across all sports. So who knows? Maybe just navy and gold is very appealing to the eye and is easy to be successful with those colors. So with Sean's 8.5, with my 9, with Beepo's 9, that gives an average score to these logos 8.8. So Buffalo, we're expecting big things, and I definitely will be purchasing. I hope they're both available as a patch, because I'd definitely like to purchase both of them and just have them hanging around, because that would be pretty cool. And I want to start getting the patch collecting. So looking forward to that, Buffalo, and hope everything works out well with that. And you get rid of those front numbers. Everyone would be really happy if you did that. Next up is the Halifax Mooseheads, and of course, they've continued the tradition of the host team for the first game of the tournament wearing a military-themed or inspired jersey. So this year, Sean, have you seen the jersey? I've seen a lot of pictures. It's reacting differently in pictures. On some of them, it looks like kind of a deep royal blue. I've seen it look navy at some time. I would expect it's going to match the flag. Is it a royal blue jersey?
It is the exact shade of blue from the Nova Scotia flag. So if you don't know what that is, it's a muted navy, but not quite a deep navy or a royal navy. Think more along the lines of slightly more muted, but similar to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Okay, perfect. And actually, I thought about the Leafs when I saw the jersey, but if you want to see the jersey, again, in the show notes description, or head on over to hockeyjerseyconcepts.com. But it's a blue jersey. There are 5 stripes running down from the elbow to the cuff on both sleeves, and then the hem has 3 straight stripes. The crest is from the Halifax Highlanders, who were one of the units that landed at Normandy on D-Day in 1944, so kind of a really cool tribute here. Plus, it pays homage to the province as well. Very much looks inspired by the flag. So this is a really cool jersey and a really cool tradition by the CHL Memorial Cup that the host team wears a military-inspired jersey for the opening game of the tournament. After all, it is the Memorial Cup. So, Sean, I don't know if you've had a chance to see these jerseys in person. Are they selling them at the Memorial Cup? And just the positives.
They are being auctioned off.
Any replicas being sold at all, or just these?
Not
ones?
to my knowledge, no.
Right. Okay. And that's
So
CHLauctions.ca, I think it is, or something along those lines.
If you want to do that, there's some sort of charity it's going towards. So,
you know how they could make more money for charity? Sell replicas of it.
Sell replicas,
well,
definitely.
But that requires manufacturing. And as we all know, those poppy patches they're a money pit. We all know.
They are. Yeah, that costs extra. It really does.
But one thing that you probably will not see in most photos is just how many stripes are on the cuffs.
Yeah, with the gloves, it does. There is 5, but when they're wearing gloves, it kind of trims it down to 3, and it looks like it matches the hem.
That's exactly it. I think they know what they were doing there, and I kind of like it.
Totally agreed on that one. How about the crest, Sean? I'm really enjoying the crest here, and just how it pays homage to the Highlanders, but also they were probably paying homage to the provincial flag. So I think that just works brilliantly here. I
agree. There is a yearly tournament known as the Hurley Cup in Halifax between Cape Breton and Halifax, and they play each other, and the team that wins the most times gets the Hurley Cup, and they wear different jerseys for it. So one year they just wore jerseys with a big Nova Scotia flag on it. Halifax wore blue and white versions, and Cape Breton wore white and blue, and since then that's usually what they do. So it reminded me of those, and I think that given what this is about and what they're going for here, and looking at previous Memorial Cup jerseys, I think that, because you have sort of a provincial-wide theme instead of something going like, so say, for example, when the Cup was in Rimouski, they paid homage to the HMCS Rimouski, a famous ship named for the town. The Rangers are named for a World War I battalion, so their jerseys often include World War I soldier imagery. Brandon wore specific Brandon, unit jerseys when they hosted, et cetera, et cetera. Regina did the same. Red Deer did it. Quebec did it. London did it. Saskatoon did it. Shawinigan and Mississauga going back that far. I think that every team has a chance to pay tribute to something. And here, it's really just paying tribute to the entire naval tradition that is Halifax.
Beepo, what do you like about these things?
Well, I don't know as much about the history of these things as Sean does, but I definitely do appreciate the history behind it and the fact that, there is some history behind it. And like you said, it is really cool that they wear a military-themed jersey to start off the tournament. It's a very nice and classic look. It looks like something that might have come out of like the early to mid-1900s. It is also very cool. I've looked up some pictures of this in action, and the bottom stripes are kind of hidden. And the nice thing is that it works really well both ways. It balances out perfectly on the hem. If you had those 5 stripes on the hem at that thickness, it would be way too much. So it was a very good design decision on both fronts there. I'm glad they didn't muddy it up with any extra colors than the blue and white. I think it works perfectly as is, and it also really helps the poppy patch stand out. It's just a really nice, classic jersey. It doesn't look like something that we've seen before, really, honestly. And I don't think we have we?
No, something with 5 stripes on the sleeves and 3 on the hem, but then when they wear the gloves, I mean, it looks like 3 and 3, and as Beepo mentioned, that works out too. So that's a really smart use of stripes on the jersey. So that's a big positive. This logo looks tremendous. I really love this logo on this jersey, and they left it alone. It's a lot of blue space behind it, so the logo is featured really well. And Beepo mentioned the poppy stands out. They didn't go crazy. They used a single block font, single color block font number on the jersey, and that works as well. This is just a really clean, I guess you could say honorable jersey. I really think it's done well, and I know we got to get to negatives, but I can't. I'm not going to rate the jersey perfect, but there's nothing really to be negative about here on the jersey. I don't know if you have a few critiques here, Sean, but I can't. I don't have anything.
I do, and it's purely based on a jersey level. I'm very happy with the cause here and how they're doing it. I just think that I wish they had tied it more back to the host city, because it seems to imply that Cape Breton won't host it for a while, and I don't think that's true. Maybe they have no interest. I don't know. But Halifax has a unique color scheme, and every other team that hosts it tries to tie their color scheme into it, and here Halifax has not done that, and I really wish that they would, because, I think that Nova Scotia shade of gold and that sort of pine forest green go really nicely together. You could fit red in there maybe, perhaps. Again, this is a one-off jersey, and I think it'll look great. But again, something that says this is a Halifax Hurricanes jersey as well, maybe just in color alone.
Beepo, any things you'd change? Any negatives here?
I actually didn't really have any negatives until Sean brought that up, and it did remind me that whenever, or if I saw this jersey on its own without knowing what it was, I would never guess that it was a Halifax Mooseheads jersey. And while I don't think it's necessarily that bad of a thing, considering that it's a one-off, that still maybe is a bit of a negative. I mean, again, it's definitely acceptable since it's a one-off, but still, maybe a little bit more of a connection to the team may have helped, or maybe not. I don't really know. Also, this isn't really a negative on this jersey. This is more of a positive that I forgot to bring up, but you mentioned that it kind of reminded you of the Leafs. And looking at this one, they at least kept the arm and hem stripes the same thickness. Looking at you there, Toronto, on that one.
Great point, Beepo. Great point. Considering all these things, I'm giving the jersey an 8.5 out of 10. I've already said how happy I am about it. I think it's a really solid jersey. Would love for replicas to be on sale, but it is what it is. So I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10. Sean, your rating?
I'm going to give this, I think an 8 solid. It's not my favorite Memorial Cup opening jersey. I think I'd probably actually give that to, Brandon or Regina's last year. Those are my 2 favorites. And with that, I think with this being, what is this, the 101st Memorial Cup? Yep. So with the 101st, I think it's trending in the right direction as to what we want with these. They've certainly improved over time. But with that being said, I think teams need to focus on bringing their team identity into it and maybe making some replica jerseys to go with it.
Perfect. Beepo, finish it up with ratings on this Halifax jersey.
Well, I don't think it's quite, I don't even want to say bad enough to give it an 8.5, because 8.5 is not a bad rating, but I don't think it's that low. But for some reason, I also can't seem to give it a 9, so I'm going to make the math very easy on Ryan and give it an 8.75. It's just a very solid jersey that's both traditional and unique at the same time.
All right, so Beepo's going 8.75. Sean went 8, and I went 8.5. And that gives it an average rating of 8.4, which is extremely solid considering it's a one-off specialty military-themed jersey. All those things can go sideways, but 8.4, very, very respectable score for a one-off jersey. It's now time to move to what was originally the top the top topic on the podcast and was slowly bumped down all week as more news came out. It's time to look at the conference championship gear. As of this recording, we've seen the Boston gear, but as we've seen in past years, it's the same for both conferences. But we have the shirt. It says Eastern Conference Champions. That's 3 lines of text. On both sides of Eastern is 20 and then 19 on the other side. Stanley Cup final logo on the lower left chest. Boston logo on the just underneath the script right in the middle. The hat, heather gray, that's very popular right now on lots of clothing using the heather gray color. So that's the front panel and the
Carolina
brim.
alternate jersey.
Everyone loves the heather. The conference is arched over the top, champs on the bottom in this kind of angled square font, a little bit of a stencil font, not exactly. And then the Bruins logo front and center with 20 and 19 on each side of it. So a fairly plain hat, pretty simple shirt, not horrible, but I wasn't overly impressed. Sean, looking at this package, what'd you think?
I mean, it's okay. I do kind of like the font where the for Eastern and Champions. I don't think it's on conference. Where you have the little lines in the angles, sure, that's fine. But man, yeah, this is just plain. I mean, can't really say I love it, and I am very curious as to what it actually says. Looking at the locker room shirt right here, there's something here to the right. Yeah, it says NHL Authentic Locker Room right next to the logo, and the Stanley Cup Finals logo, which I think that the final logo should go on the back underneath the collar.
Yep.
And the Authentic Locker Room should either go at where the jock tag normally is or on the inside of the collar, because I'm already advertising enough. I don't need to advertise more.
Yep, you nailed it there. And again, if you're anybody who wants to take a look, it's in the show notes, or you can head on over to hockeyjerseyconcepts.com.
Oh, shit.
Beepo, your thoughts on this hat, shirt, locker room package?
I think it's pretty solid. I mean, well, actually, never mind. Sorry, 0 out of 10. It has the wrong black and gold logo on it.
Beepo, your Penguins didn't even
I'm
make
just
it out
kidding.
of the first round.
But
Good
hey,
game.
they won as many playoff games this year as the Blackhawks did, and we know that the Blackhawks won 3 and 6. No, but anyways, I think it's pretty solid. It is a little bit plain, but I'm not sure that's necessarily a detriment to it. I do agree that I think the Cup Final logo and the locker room thing should be in different places. But I do think, too, that I like the fact that the conference on the shirt is just outlined. I think looking at it from a distance, it emphasizes the 2 most important words there, Eastern and Champions. Like, I'm looking at it on my phone and it's not zoomed in. If I didn't read that it was conference before, I don't think I would have known that it says conference. I think it just emphasizes the perfect 2 words there. I think that I really like that detail about it. The hat, my only main issue is that it's gray text on a gray hat on a gray background. I think if they made it black, it would look better and stand out a lot better, or even do kind of what you did on the shirt, have like the conference in yellow and have champs in black or something like that. But I still think it's pretty solid nonetheless. Yeah, simple, solid. Yeah, that's about it.
Well, my biggest gripe, and it's just because I'm old and not with the times, is that the hat is a snapback. I'm tired of snapback hats, but that's not going to change anytime soon. I actually like the heather gray hat, but I agree with Beepo that at least champs maybe could have been in black or something just to make it stand out a little more, because you got gray text on a gray hat. And really the only thing that makes it pop is the team logo. So they would have been screwed if the Kings made the playoffs this year and were Western Conference champs, because that would have been a boring hat. The T-shirt, a little underwhelming. I think the font is supposed to really be the feature here, but it's just there's not enough that's special about it. It's just a block of 3 lines of kind of this angled, half stenciled font, and it's just not doing it for me. Not horrible, but not exciting. And as almost all conference championship gear becomes, this will be very forgettable. So let's move on to, let's rate it out of 10, but also decide which is better, the hat or the shirt. I'm choosing the hat out of the two here. I think it just looks like a better overall piece, despite the gray on gray. But the shirt, like I mentioned, the font's just not doing it for me, a little boring. But both pieces are actually kind of boring. But they're not horrible, so I still rate it 7 out of 10. It's just a very mediocre rating. So, Sean, hat or shirt better, and what's your rating?
Definitely going to say the shirt's better, but not by much. Again, I'm really not a fan of snapbacks either because they don't fit my big head. I got to give it like a 5 out of 10. If I think back to, let's take, 10-11, Vancouver and Boston, they had these really nice conference champions logos with two semicircle outlines. 12-13 had the shield type logos. I don't remember 13-14s, but 14-15 had the 3-layer triangles. And you know what? That kind of stuff really works. I think that the conference championship logo, probably since the year San Jose made it to the Cup final, has been a lost art. And they've really taken a step away from that. And it's showing, And what
was your rating there, Sean?
I gave it a 5.
A total of 5. Ooh. Then again, it is the conference championship gear, so are we really even going to remember this conversation next week? Beepo, your rating, and which one's better, hat or shirt?
I think I'll give it to the shirt mainly because that issue that I have with the hat, it just doesn't pop enough for me to like it that much, and I think they do it well on the shirt. My total rating is probably 7, maybe 6.5 out of 10. It looks fine for what it is, but it doesn't have that much to it, which you guys don't like it. I don't mind it as much, I don't think, but, it probably could still have a little bit more to it.
All right, so we got a 5 from Sean, a 6.5 from Beepo, a 7 from me, and that gives the average rating a 6.2. Again, you can check out the image, and it links in the show description, or head on over to hockeyjerseyconcepts.com. That is the meat of the podcast. It's time now to get to the potatoes. Fake or authentic? Fake or authentic? This is where I come up with statements, but it's up to the co-host to determine whether or not the statements are fake or authentic, just like the jerseys you see on fans' backs around NHL arenas. Here we go. Fake or authentic number 1. After Patrick Maroon's double OT goal in the second round of the playoffs, I couldn't get Gloria out of my head for 2 days. Sean, fake or authentic?
Fake. That song just doesn't get in my head, Yeah, so fake. It was an awesome goal, and I hope St. Louis wins the Cup. But I never got Gloria in my head, and I feel bad for the people in St. Louis to that one station that played it for 24 hours after they won.
Yeah, that's a little overkill. Like, I got over it after 2 days, but that's a little bit overkill. Beepo, fake or authentic on this one?
Fake, and I watched that game, or at least the end of it, and it was a nice goal. It was an exciting moment, but as you guys know, I'm a Pens fan, not a Blues fan, so I don't necessarily have an attachment to that song the way that they do, and I think it's really cool for them that they do, but I don't really have that attachment to it, and honestly, I haven't even been following along with the playoffs in the West that much this year, mainly because even from the beginning of the playoffs, I could have cared less who came out of that conference. I don't hate any of those teams. I don't really go for any of them. I don't dislike any of them. If you told me any of the teams that made the West in the playoffs this year made it to the Cup final, I wouldn't have been upset. So I haven't been, in turn, I haven't really been following along over there. So.
All right. And speaking of not following along, this next one is based on the IIHF World Championships. The fake or authentic, the IIHF World Championship Cup trophy should continue to grow in length, but not in girth. And that's to avoid looking like the Stanley Cup. Sean, fake or authentic?
That's a tough one. would argue that, especially considering that has admitted to themselves what they truly are in the hockey world, I would like to see more of this. On the other hand, I got enough of certain countries in the World Juniors. But you know what? I don't want to see it become... I want to see it become its own thing. I greatly enjoy the World Championships, but they're not the Stanley Cup final. So, fake.
All right, Beepo, fake or authentic. I don't know if you've seen this trophy, but it should continue to grow in length rather than girth and avoid looking like the Stanley Cup.
Wait, you are talking about the physical cup, right? Not the fact that the tournament should be longer or anything like that, right?
Oh, no, it's not about the tournament. It's about the actual trophy that they hand out.
That's what it sounded like Sean was talking about.
Sean, you talking about the tournament or the trophy?
Maybe it's because I was paying attention to my other computer looking up pictures of the trophy real quick.
Both? I was kind of talking about both.
Sean was using the trophy as a metaphor for the tournament.
No, the other way.
Oh, whatever. I stopped listening after like 10 seconds, Sean. As soon as you don't say fake or authentic, I tune out.
Oh.
Beepo, fake or authentic on this one?
I honestly think that it maybe should grow a little bit in length and a little bit in girth. So I don't know if that falls under fake or authentic.
I guess it
falls under my fence thing.
It definitely does. Classic Beepo. All right, we'll leave you on the fence for that one. That's fine.
If I had to pick one, I'd probably say length, but, you know.
All right, let's move on to fake or authentic number 3. Fake, and Beepo, there's no way you can sit on the fence on this one. Fake or authentic, I'd rather get hit in the nuts than stub my toe on a bedpost in the middle of the night when it's pitch black when I'm coming back from the bathroom. Sean, fake or authentic?
Okay, so this question comes with a little caveat in that I am missing not a small portion, but a not insignificant but not particularly noticeable portion of my left toe.
Oh, I didn't think you were going to say toe. Never mind.
And
go on.
because of that, it is incredibly simultaneously sensitive and can't feel a thing. And stubbing it is one of those things that you can't really feel. So I would rather take that than getting sacked. On the other hand, I will admit that, sacking doesn't hurt nearly as much as some people say it does if it's not hard.
Oh, man.
But it literally knocks the wind out of you versus stubbing your toe is a lot. I might actually take the sacking.
All right. Even with half a toe?
Even with, no, not like half a toe. Like it's missing half of the part that goes up around the nail.
Oh, so like you're less 10% toe.
Exactly. So it's like 90% toe.
It's like a toe sail. It's not a toe clearance.
Exactly. It's still there. It's still the same shape. It just kind of, it doesn't curl around the nail like it does on the other side or like how it normally kind of does. Like it just flattens right out. So I will take the sacking because the other thing about it is it's very rare. If you're completely blindsided by a sack, you just feel winded.
Yeah. But
I will say, and that I can deal with.
Stubbing your toe, it's not like the bedpost jumps out of nowhere. You know exactly where it is. And you're just
you keep hitting it.
Yeah, and you're so groggy, and then you just hit it, and fuck, I hit the bedpost. All right, Beepo, fake or authentic, I'd rather get hit in the nuts than stub my toe on a bedpost in the middle of the night.
I'm going to sit on the fence for this one and say that I'd rather them both happen to me because I'm a masochist.
You fucking fence sitter.
I'm just kidding. I'm not a masochist, at least not in the physical sense. I make a lot of self-deprecating jokes, but I don't necessarily enjoy inflicting pain on myself. So my actual answer is completely fake because sometimes I will sit on my own balls the wrong way and I'll feel a slight pain in my abdomen for a little while. And that's not intense pain by any means, but it's still there and it's still annoying. And I do not want to get hit very much harder than that. So, and at least stubbing my toe, as long as I don't break my toe, that goes away decently quickly. So I'll take the stubbed toe any day.
Fair enough.
Again, as long as I don't break it.
Fair enough. All right. Let's go to our final fake or authentic here. USA Hockey should make their alternate jersey a full-time jersey with a matching blue sweater. Now, the jersey I'm referring to here is the one that kind of looks like a Rangers jersey, or looks similar to the Winnipeg Jets white heritage jersey. So they should make that alternate jersey a full-time jersey with a matching blue jersey. Sean, fake or authentic?
Right now, I'm going to say fake because it doesn't go with what the rest of the international community really uses. We're still on those Olympic templates that really weren't that bad. It's just they really, 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 really needed a logo on there, a logo like something that isn't just writing. And when that was done, a lot of them improved. The USA jerseys improved dramatically, and I'm actually not the biggest hater of them. But it wasn't countries like Canada or the U.S. or, like Russia who benefited from it. It was guys like France and Great Britain and Japan who benefited from it. So, sure, why not? But give it a couple of years. Wait till other teams move on to other things and then do it then.
Beepo, fake or authentic on this one?
Completely authentic. I mean, like Sean said, they are going to stand out. However, I don't think they're going to stand out in a bad way at all. They're going to have one of the only jerseys around. I mean, these things are some beautiful jerseys. And honestly, they didn't set a very high bar with those Olympic template jerseys. They really didn't. So there's not too much that could be worse than that. I mean, honestly, I think I'd even take the Colorado Avalanche or Ottawa Senators Reebok templates over that thing. Just recolor it in red, white, and blue. I don't like those ones at all, and that alternate's beautiful, so I would make that the home jersey any day of the week.
All right, good stuff. That was Fake or Authentic, and that essentially is our podcast for this week. I want to let you know that coming soon to the podcast is the Jersey Nerds Podcast mailbag, but it'll be a voicemail edition, so we'll allow you guys you'll actually be able to call into a Skype number and leave a message, and the good ones will get played on the podcast, and of course we'll respond accordingly. So that should be pretty cool. We're setting that up, and that'll be live within the next couple weeks. Also coming to the podcast, the return of Throwback Throwdown, except we're going to set it up a little bit differently. Each week it'll be one throwback jersey versus another, and the winner will advance to another matchup the following week. So it'll kind of just be a constantly moving thing, and then a jersey may make it through 10 podcasts or whatever, and we'll have to move it to the Hall of Fame and start with a new matchup or something like that. So that's coming back to the podcast. Throwback Throwdown is returning to the Jersey Nerds Podcast. That is all we have for you this week. So to stay up to date with the podcast, be sure to subscribe, and you'll get notifications whenever new shows are posted. I'd like to thank Sean and Beepo for joining me this week, and I'd like to especially thank all of you, the Jersey Nerds, for listening. Goodbye, everybody.